Today's video is all about prepping for the Tour de Fleece. But this isn't your regular overachiever's guide. No, this is the lazy spinner's guide to doing the Tour de Fleece. Hi there, my name's Trent and I'm the Weft Right. Welcome to my studio here in the mountains of Western North Carolina. The time is almost here for the most beloved event in the fiber spinning calendar. The Tour de Fleece was started in 2006 by a spinner and blogger named Katrina from the Keep On Knitting in the Free World blog. And she was inspired, of course, by the Tour de France, which is a famous cycling competition. And she thought, why can't we spin every day just like the cyclists are spinning every day for this time period? The idea, it really caught on very quickly, and it began as a small online challenge, and it grew to a beloved global tradition. And next year marks 20 years of the Tour de Fleece, which is pretty incredible. So fiber artists all over the world gather their spinning wheels, their charkas, their great wheels, their spindles, even their e-spinners, right? To spin together. Some people on teams, some people not on teams, but to challenge yourself and to make sure that you are being as productive as possible. And it doesn't hurt that summer is kind of the ideal time to spin wool, especially because then you'll have all of that yarn ready for knitting those warm projects come fall. The official event this year runs from Saturday, July 5th, all the way to Sunday, July 27th. And that's about 3 weeks of making yarn, sharing progress, and giving yourself permission to play with different types of spinning and different types of fiber. So whether you're planning out detailed spinning goals or just dusting off the wheel and seeing what happened, this is the guide for you. So as mentioned earlier, the key dates for this year's event is July 5th through July 27th. But there are a few additional things you might want to know. There are challenge days on July 14th and July 20th. These kind of line up for when the cyclists are usually going up some kind of a mountain or steep incline. And we give ourselves extra challenges as well. And then there are also rest days. So you don't have to spin absolutely every day because the cyclists get rest days as well. And that's July 5th and July 21st. Now, what should you do for a challenge day? It's up to you. Some people like to challenge themselves by spinning a new type of fiber or spinning in a new way. I don't want to have to buy any extra fiber. I don't want to have to use any extra equipment than what I already have. So I'm going to challenge myself to learn to spin better on the spindle. I started spinning on a spinning wheel on the Ashford Traditional, and I'm not as great on the spindle as I would like to be. So that's one of my goals for my challenge days this year. So it's now time to get down to business. I want to talk about 3 different kinds of lazy spinners and the kind of prep work that you need to do before you go into the Tour de Fleece. But just remember, prepping doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to work for you. First of all, before you start anything, no matter what your style of spinning is, you need to do these 2 things. You need to set up a semi-permanent space. So this is really important. If you have to gather all your supplies and take them out each day that you want to spin, it's going to be really, really challenging to get motivated if you're a lazy spinner. So find that place, whether it's in a guest bedroom, a corner of the living room, maybe even on the porch. I love spinning on the porch because we have nice, cool, breezy summers here. And have your equipment ready. Have your fiber ready, organized in bins or in baskets. Have your wheel there. Or your spindles. You may want to have some pillows for comfort, or maybe even a neck light or a headlamp if you're in not so great lighting. Sometimes the only time we have to spin is after dinner's finished and the dishes are done. So it's important if you're a lazy spinner to have all of that ready so you don't have to look around. The next thing you absolutely have to do is check out your spinning equipment. Make sure if you're using a wheel that it's in good condition, all the nuts and bolts are tightened properly, everything is oiled properly and cleaned. We want to make sure that this is really easy and runs smooth. Also, in that space that you set up, make sure you have things like extra oil. You might want to have things like an extra orifice hook just in case you lose one, because it's very easy if you have, especially one of the replacement ones that Ashford provides. They're just basically a bent piece of wire. And so I always like to have an extra one around just in case I drop it, because there's nothing more frustrating than having a lap full of fiber and you have to bend down, reach around, and scrounge around on the floor. So have your equipment ready and have your space set up. Those are the 2 things that every spinner needs to do. All right, number one, if you are the first type of spinner, then you're the minimal effort spinner. I'm here for the vibes and not the spreadsheets, right? And so the things that you need to remember is grab what fiber you have. You don't have to buy things, you don't have to plan any projects. You got a half used braid from last year, you've got some wool that needs to be processed. Maybe don't choose that because processing wool is a lot of work. But if you don't want to buy anything, maybe that is the solution. But for me, it's using top. I have a lot of comb top that I'm working on for a big sweater project. I know that's technically planning what I'm using it for, but it's really not because I already have it all and it's already prepped. So that's my lazy spin. Another thing you want to be sure of is make sure that you have a tool that works for you and is very comfortable and easy. For me, that's my e-spinner. It's good on my knees, it's good on my hips. I love spinning on my e-spinner. If you want to learn more about the e-spinner I have, which is by the company Uncle Kolya, a Ukrainian fiber arts tool company, you can check out that video. I don't remember what side the link is on, but you can check out that video in my spinning playlist as well. So the goal, I say at minimum, make your goal 5 minutes a day. If you have everything already set up, 5 minutes is super easy. And you're participating in the spirit of the project. You don't have to spin for long hours a day to be a spinner in the Tour de Fleece. Just spin for 5 minutes, right? And remember with all of these, keep your fiber out where you can see it. The goal is not guilt. Visibility just helps you to remember that you are trying to get something done. And it's so motivating when you're a lazy spinner. The second type of spinner is the slightly organized spinner. And this is the person who likes to plan, but only if it can fit on a post-it note, right? So for your fiber, you want to pull a selection of fibers that make sense and possibly plan a project. Are you going to be knitting socks this winter? Are you going to be making a sweater? Are you going to be making hats? Go ahead and plan something general in your head. You don't have to go ahead and pick a pattern and find the perfect yardage. But you may want to separate things out by week, right? There's 3 weeks in the competition this year. So maybe you're saying, I'm going to spend this in the first week, etc. You might want to pull a small selection of fibers that make sense together for whatever kind of project that you have planned. If you're a sock knitter, make sure you have fiber that's blended in a way that's good for socks, whether that's all natural with something like mohair or silk, or maybe that's something like having a little bit of nylon blended in with your fiber, and maybe it's superwash for you. I personally don't like spinning superwash, but maybe you do. You also might want to separate out your fiber by weight or by week. So that's something that the slightly more prep focused spinner might want to do, is weigh out sections of fiber so you can easily keep track of how much weight that you've spun thus far. Another thing that is really important for that slightly organized spinner is organizing your bobbins. It's so important to go ahead and empty any bobbins you have that you aren't using. Little cheap weaving bobbins are really great for emptying small amounts. I know that I've often done a little sample on my spinning wheel, and I really don't need a full, huge storage bobbin to store it on. So these really come in handy. You also might want to think for your slightly organized spinner to spin for a little bit longer each day, because remember, you might be spinning for an idea or a project. So you might want to spin for 15 to 30 minutes a day as opposed to make your goal 5 minutes a day. Whatever is going to be important to you. Also, as I mentioned earlier, that post-it, keep a few post-its around and you can make a note card to just jot down what you spun, what how much weight you might have spun that day. And if you're taking it off bobbins, which I don't recommend for the lazy spinner, just wait till it's over to take it off bobbins if you can, unless you really don't have any room left. You may want to jot down how much yardage you have or something like that. So the final type of spinner, number 3, is the type A lazy spinner. Now, some people will just say this is not a lazy spinner, but there are people who definitely pretend to be chill and they end up secretly owning 3 spreadsheets that organize everything they do, right? So this type of spinner likes to do fun things like have a theme for each week. So week 1 is natural fibers, week 2 is color blend, week 3 is that special braid you've been saving that you're going to do a fractal spin on. So a little bit more planning. Everything needs to be labeled, right? We want to number our bobbins to make sure that you have the right blend if you're doing one of those fractal spins. Maybe a checklist, possibly snacks sorted by fiber type. I know that sounds fun, right? This type of spinner is going to have larger reaching goals. So definitely is, I'm going to spin this many yards, or I'm going to spin enough weight for this exact project, and not just fun spinning, right? It is a lot of fun, but also it can be a lot of work to finish those large project amounts of fiber. So that's what this secretly type A spinner is going to do. You also might want to schedule a reset every Sunday. So maybe that Sunday evening for me is a really great time. I have usually a pretty busy morning and afternoon on Sunday. I often have visitors on Saturday. So Sunday evening is a great day to reset. So you might want to wind off your bobbins, restock your fiber, recalibrate. Even lazy overachievers need maintenance. So make sure you take care of your space. And even if you aren't spinning on those days, you're still in the spirit of the project. And that goes for any of these three levels of lazy spinners, is that even just working or reading or watching a YouTube video about spinning keeps you in the loop with the rest of the world who's participating in this project. You don't actually have to participate by physically spinning every day to feel like you're a part of the overall Tour de Fleece experience. No matter what level you are on, it's important to remember that Tour de Fleece is about showing up with fiber in hand and participating. It's not about perfection. So if you'll remember that, you're going to have a lot more fun as a lazy spinner than you will as maybe some of those really organized spinners who spin for 3 or 4 hours a day. That's great, and hopefully I'll get a few of those days in, but I'm a busy guy, and I just want to participate and have fun. So let's talk about equipment a little bit more. If you're a lazy spinner, first of all, you don't need to go out and buy any new equipment. If you have some wool that you need to process, you probably aren't going to be out there buying a drum carder to process your wool. You might just want to use your hand cards, and maybe that's a part of the spinning experience too. Maybe you don't need to prep all that before the spinning begins. Another thing that's important is to remember that you use what you have. So if you're a spinner and all you have is spindles, the old adage is a spinning wheel will win the day, but a spindle will win the week. That makes perfect sense because you have to have your spinning wheel in a one location, and it's not very portable. Whereas your spindle, you can take anywhere. You can take it to work and on your 15-minute break, do a little bit of spinning. You can take it to the park. You can do it while you're on a walk for exercise. You can do it by the pool. Spindles are really great. So don't feel like you're not participating because you don't have the most advanced wheel. Another great wheel option is if you don't have one and you're hoping to learn during this year's Tour de Fleece, get a wheel that's really easy to use. I personally, and this is going to be controversy, I personally really love the Ashford Traditional. I know it's a lot of people's first wheels and some people don't like it at all, but a Scotch tension wheel is so easy to understand how it works. And it's a real joy to spin on. I particularly, as a larger person, enjoy a one treadle wheel. It puts less stress on my knees and my hips. And you can always find an Ashford Traditional on Facebook Marketplace or on eBay for a pretty reasonable price, I find. Never pay over about $250 or $300 for an Ashford Traditional. You can usually find it for around that amount. Some fiber recommendations. As a lazy spinner, I want to spin as easy as possible. I've already talked about using the fiber we have, and that's a really important tip. But if you are having to buy some fiber, my favorite is Coriadale. It's just like butter. It wants to spin. It's so easy. I love Coriadale. I also use a lot of Coriadale Cross. And sometimes if I have an expensive fiber, like I had that Humbug Blueface Leicester, which I'll link in this video, whichever place it goes. I can't afford to buy enough of that now that it's not on sale anymore to finish the project I need. So I'm actually plying it with some solid colored Coriadale Cross, and I'm loving the yarn I'm getting. It's right here. And another really great option is Blueface Leicester. It has a longer staple length, so you don't have to have the death grip on it like you do with some merinos and shorter fibers. Cheviot and Romney are also good options. They're durable and very beginner friendly. But remember, use the fiber you have. You don't have to buy anything new. So this is only for people who don't have enough to spin for the entire 3 weeks of the Tour de Fleece. Some accessories you're probably going to want to have. Extra bobbins, so important. They say every spinning wheel should have at least 6 bobbins. That allows you to do 2 bobbins full of a 2-ply. So that's a really important thing to remember. Lazy Kates are really important. You don't necessarily need them. You can make a plying ball, which is the traditional way of doing it. So if you don't have a Lazy Kate, don't feel guilty about it. I personally have this, which I bought in an antique store. I know it was a going out of business sale, and these were spool racks for ribbons that they use to tie up their packages with, and it works really well as a Lazy Kate. Actually, some people like to have a nitty knotty or a skein winder in some kind of way that you can measure your yarn. That's really important. And then once again, a notebook, post-it notes, or I use the Notes app on my phone, is a really great way to keep track of what you're doing. The important thing about the Tour de Fleece is to make it fun. You want to have rituals. So maybe that's making yourself a delicious glass of iced tea every day with a big wedge of lemon. Maybe that's turning on your favorite British odd TV show that no one else has ever heard of. Maybe that is turning on one of your favorite YouTube channels like Jillian Eve. I love doing all of those things while I'm spinning, but I particularly enjoy spinning on the porch because I have a beautiful view at my new house. Community engagement is important to a lot of people. I personally do not join any teams. I think as a lazy spinner, that extra stress of wanting to compete is not really what I'm interested in. But I will post progress on my social media, and maybe I'll make a few vlog videos sharing what I've been doing. Celebrate your achievements. Let's say that on one of your challenge days, you tried to do a long draw and you succeeded at it, or even if you didn't fully succeed at it, it's something new and interesting that you got to play with. Definitely celebrate those successes. And then flexibility. Flexibility is so important to having fun. You need to make sure that if you miss a day, it's not an issue. But what I will require you to do, even if you're a lazy spinner, is to do something fiber related, whether that's reading about a new breed of sheep in the Fleece and Fiber source book, or whether that is just watching a favorite YouTube video, or even doing a little bit of prep work. If you don't actually spin, I'm not going to be upset, and you shouldn't be upset with yourself. Just do something fiber related so that you're still connected with the spinning community. All right, that's about it for today. I want to reiterate that the Tour de Fleece is about enjoyment and personal growth, not about perfection. And for me, it's not about a competition. I'm not riding a bike on the side of a mountain in France, so I don't need to compete with anybody except myself. If you have any other tips or tricks, please post them down below in the comments. I'd love to hear what you say. It's very important for me to feel like I'm a part of a community. That's what I love about this channel. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Every time I see that subscription go up, even by one person, it makes me feel like what I'm doing is worth it. And I absolutely love doing it. So until next time, keep crafting and keep spinning.